You're trying to look down on the aristocrats. You're gonna try to, you know, paint everything they do as less than manly. You know, if you think about the French Revolution, things like that. You know, down with their makeup, down with their cake, down with their foods. You know, down with their filigree and everything.
Filigree, what does that mean?
It's like fancy gold work.
Gotcha. That's interesting, huh? Do you think that's a universal thing? Is like eventually like the upper aristocratic class was considered pansy like, and that's why like feminine attributes that were at the time just for the upper class shifted towards
just being feminine. I think so. I think it's it's probably connected to a certain level of, you know, sexism that we've always kept in society. Like if you can insinuate that a man is girly, then because we've suppressed women in general for a couple of millennia,
it's an interesting topic.
Yeah, that you can assign that, you know.
Yeah. So do we live in a patriarchy?
Yeah, I mean, we're in a recovering patriarchy, I guess.
Oh, so I don't know what to think of it exactly. I think it could be one of those instances where men and women have more or less negotiated equal value or equal quality of life or something. So there's some equal negotiation that has occurred, but it's slow. So there's been a lot of rapid developments in the past 100, 200 years, 20 years even. And so is it the case that there's just a renegotiation occurring where the gender roles that used to be a good deal between the sexes is now no longer a good deal because, you know, it used to be like, okay, men, you go die in war. Women, you like maintain the household, you raise children or whatever. And honestly, they both kind of suck, but at least it was a good negotiation.
Yeah, although I think that the original negotiation was probably in bad faith. You've got one gender that's basically static throughout time. Like nothing changes about men month to month. And, you know, women would have a situation where, like, if you want to go all the way back, you know, in a cavemen hunting, you know, dinosaurs sort of way, which isn't a thing. But that concept, like as far back as you go, it's not advantageous to be the gender that goes through a menstrual cycle. You know, that
well, yeah, you're incredibly vulnerable when you are having a kid. Yeah, especially.
Right. Then there's the, you know, we see it today. Like there's women who navigate being pregnant, like all the way up to the end with no stop to their activity. But there's plenty that don't. But regardless, somewhere close to the end, the woman's going to be incapacitated and then have a serious amount of recovery.
Yeah.
And without any control over that biological development, you know, things we have now where you have birth control, you have plenty of options that change that dynamic. But before then, yeah, like we had the advantage because we were never going to be incapacitated.
Right.
And, you know, women could choose on some levels to not be as incapacitated if they just kind of left the children to the wolves, but we'd never have that conversation because we wouldn't be here.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, well, it depends. There's a couple of different reproductive strategies for men. Some of them involve consent. Some of them don't.
Right.
So I don't know how that plays into this. I mean, you say it's in bad faith. I don't know if I would say it's in bad faith, but I would say both sides are going to be push the line as far as they can.
Yeah.
Considering circumstances. So yeah, I mean, females happen to be stuck with the burden of giving birth to a child.
And not that it isn't a magical and glorious thing, as we've discussed.
Yes, yeah. It is magical and profound. Yeah.
Tactic.
I'm glad I'm not a woman, but I'm also like so interested by the phenomenon because it is like the most insane thing you could do is like create another human being.
Right.
That's wild. But also, don't have to do it.
Would not want to do that thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, maternity leave has changed things a lot, just different societal buffers, I guess. And also birth control is huge. So, I don't know. You don't seem compelled by the idea that the inequality is a result of changing circumstances. You feel like that probably men's use of force and their physical advantage over women has probably been a kind of a chronic source of oppression.
Yeah, because like think of how weird we get whenever the women wanted to go and fight.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the Mulan story.
Mm-hmm.
It
really happened.
It did.
Oh, did it?
Well,
I'm an idiot.
Okay. So
no.
There's like dozens of different legend versions, and it's likely that things like that did happen.
Yeah, I did hear a great drunk history where it was basically the same story, but like in early American history.
Oh yeah,
awesome.
Well, you've got so many different.
Yeah,
I think I've seen that same episode, but yeah, you've got dozens of like, you've got Anne Bonny, and I can't remember what the other woman's name was, but they like snuck into a life of piracy, like because they wanted to, and if they had been found out, it would have been bad for them. Like it's right. Always that situation where, if this burden of us going off to war is really so bad, why do we freak out when women want to be on the front lines?
Right.
Yeah. I think also the result of it coming apart would be different if it had been in good faith. Mm-hmm. Like the wage gap for women, the 70%, number. Like if it really was just for their own good or for the good of society and didn't have a level of selfishness to it, I don't think that you would have women suddenly doing the same job and only getting paid, a dramatically lesser amount.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, well, so you're saying men have been cunning and have played all their cards as much to their advantage as they can, right?
Yeah, and assumedly we've had more wars than we actually needed to.
Yeah, probably. So what's to say that women are also not playing their cards as best they can to their own advantage? Or do they just not have the same advantage biologically to leverage?
I think in the beginning there was that disadvantage in the original setup, mm-hmm. and then you've just got time perpetuating it.
Mm-hmm. So namely vulnerability in childbirth,
yep.
and child rearing and physical force,
mm-hmm.
are the two obvious ones.
Yeah, I don't think that early women were significantly physically weaker than early men, but I know science proves me somewhat wrong on that.
Yeah, I don't actually know.
Yeah.